If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown. He's going to fire upfield. It's broken up. Tipped and intercepted by the Colts.
This is the official Colts podcast, giving you an updated look at what's new with the Horseshoes.
Colts have it. Interception. 2 seconds left, and the Colts are going to win.
In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
You know, I've got this knack for being able to identify things in a wrap present. I guess it's a gift.
Oh, gee.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. That's what we
this.
are here on the official Colts podcast, brought to you by Dad Jokes. We're
Yes, I
also
was gonna say that's the number one dad joke
number
on the
one
board right
dad
now.
joke of all time.
The number one dad joke teller I know is Matt Taylor. Man.
I was gonna remarry my ex-wife, but she figured out I was just after my money. It's a great joke. It's a great joke. It's clean. No one gets offended.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a great
clean,
stinking
yes.
joke.
I don't know if it's
Listen,
great.
it's a great joke.
It's
I mean,
clean.
it's witty, it's to the point, and it's a great joke. Like, if you're out there, if you appreciate that joke, drop more dad jokes in the comments, and we'll just turn this thing into what it's not supposed to be. We're here to talk Colts football, but not on my watch, all right? If I have anything to do with it. No, just kidding. Thank you for joining us on the official Colts podcast. Here we got the Thursday crew. We are brought to you by Wynn Las Vegas. The dad jokes are over unless you want to do them at the end, I promise. But we are going to talk some Colts football. I'm Matt Taylor. He's the legendary Bill Brooks. He's the legendary Casey Valier. And we got a lot to talk about here today. Fellas, the Colts are 2-1.
Yeah.
And Bill Brooks, I think this is right. For the first time since 2019, the Indianapolis Colts are all alone in first place in the AFC South. Huge win against the Baltimore Ravens.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds real good for the Colts to be in first place all alone in the AFC South. And it's been a while since you could say that for the Colts
No doubt.
over the past couple of years. But you know what? This team is coming out with a good start and thus far. And, you know, unfortunately, yes, lost to Jacksonville. But since then, have bounced back and got back-to-back wins.
All right, just behind the curtain a little bit. For those that don't know, my man Casey here does a great job of putting the whole game day presentation together on radio. But on road games, Casey does not travel with us because we need somebody holding down the fort in studio. He's our game day host. That studio is here at the Colts complex.
Yep.
So Casey connects with us on the road, wherever we are. In this case, last Sunday in Baltimore. Casey's doing his responsibilities from the door next door from where we are right now. And this place is pretty much a ghost town on Sundays when the Colts are out of town. Tell us your game day experience all alone by yourself. It's like if a tree's falling in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it actually happen? Casey, what are you doing as Matt Gay is kicking that 53-yard field goal in overtime? What is your reaction? And is anybody like walking down the hall to make sure you still have blood pressure in check?
You know, if somebody was here, I am sorry for them because I'm sure they were like, it's Sunday. What are people doing here?
Yeah.
Because I was getting pretty loud. I don't know what it is. I'm a clapper. Like if you're a big you have the GoPro on you when you're watching your radio calls, and if we're at home and those radio calls in the back, if you see this guy standing up in the background just clapping, that is me. I don't know why I just clap.
Little Hercules.
Well,
Little Hercules.
Instead of clapping with Matt Gay, I was banging on
Attaboy.
the desks we had in here. So if the radio board seemed a little off, I apologize if
so
I
that's
banged
what
a
it
little
was.
hard.
Jeez.
But no, there is literally nobody here. You come in, it's one of those things where you go to the parking lot and it's like, what parking spot should I take? Because they're all available to me. I can park in the CEO spot if I wanted to, but I still park where I typically
man,
would. I know.
I still have security cameras around here now.
There are cameras outside, so I try to just make
Who's
sure I
this
stay in my
jamoke?
lane.
Who's this jamoke parking in the CEO joint?
But it is odd here on Sundays when there is nobody here.
I like it.
But I mean, I'm here. I'm representing the horseshoe from
Holding down
from
the
back
fort
here. So
I like it. All right, well, a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about the big win against the Ravens, preview the Rams. Also coming up, Indianapolis' own, the hometown product, born and raised on the east side from Warren Central High School, the rookie sensation, JuJu Brents. That was like a wrestling intro.
Juju.
Here's JuJu Brents. But no, he's going to join us coming up on this podcast a little bit later. He had that big strip, the fumble and the fumble recovery in the second quarter. That was a huge momentum shifter, if you will, for the Colts in that game. Led to a big win in overtime. But I want to talk about the win in and of itself, Bill, before we get into the Rams. Just how refreshing was it to see the Colts make more plays in crunch time? The fourth quarter,
yes,
in overtime, special teams stepped up and met Gay, but offensively, defensively, you played complementary football. We know about the Colts' struggles last year in crunch time, all those one-score losses, all of those fourth quarter, blown leads. It was so good to see the Colts exercise some demons in that regard last Sunday on the road.
It was good to see them come through in the fourth quarter, as we talked about, as you just mentioned. Before in the past, like against the Jacksonville Jaguars, couldn't close it out here at home. But you look at the Colts against the Baltimore Ravens, I think it was 1:41 left in the game. They got the ball on their own 38, marched down to the 34, kicked the field goal, tied the game up. Baltimore gets the ball back, I think, with about 57 seconds left to go. Baltimore marches down, but the defense does enough to hold them out just far enough.
Yeah, I was going to say,
just far enough. I mean, it was close.
Field goal range with Justin Tucker is a different term.
Just far enough to prevent them from getting a field goal.
Do you think that kick was good, by the way?
Going off his foot, looking at it,
I
thought it was good.
Because it was down the middle,
It was right down the middle.
Straight.
It was straight down the middle.
It was like one of your fairway 9 irons.
No, it wasn't one of those. Mine usually slice right or pull left or whatever it may be, but I thought it was good. I really did. But when it came short, believe me, I was happy for that.
Well, this is something that popped into my brain after the game, Casey. Big picture-wise, Chris Ballard at the end of last year, I know this is a long time ago, and a lot has certainly happened and transpired since then, but January of 2023, right? The Colts had just lost Week 18 to the Houston Texans, looking for a head coach. What are they going to do at quarterback? Is Matt Ryan coming back? Are they going to draft in the top 5 and pick a QB? All of that stuff was sort of on the forefront. But one thing that stood out in that press conference that I always remember, Chris Ballard said just simply, we were 4-12-1 last year. We earned that. And a lot of things went into that, but we're too good. We're too talented to be this far under 500, to have come up short that far from expectations last year. Our best players, quite frankly, need to play better, and man, did they. DeForest Buckner, All-Pro. Grover Stewart, All-Pro. Kwity Pace coming on. You got Zaire Franklin. You got Shaq Leonard. You got Julian Blackmon. You've got All-Pros on your offensive line. It was just good to see all the talent the Colts had step up and play like the best players on the team in a hostile environment on the road.
I mean, I remember we were talking about this after week 1, and we brought that up. When you look at what Jacksonville did down the stretch in the week 1 loss, their best players made the plays. And I felt like last week, when you look across the board at all of the big plays, those were your best players. And I want to throw in another guy you did not mention. You mentioned the offensive line. I think Bernhard Raimann has really kind of stepped in to be one of those guys because, man, through 3 weeks – he has not looked at all like a second-year guy who has very minimal left tackle play.
Have you said the name Bernhard Raimann?
No, and
which is good.
That is such a good point.
When you don't hear the name, that's
great.
great.
You not hear it, that's what you want to hear. Yes. And that is one thing. You mentioned, Kwity Paye, he has looked every bit the part. Samson Ebukam, a great free agent, a signing. But you talk about what DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart do to this defensive line. This front 7 has been better than advertised. We all thought that this defense could be really good, led by that front 7. They have been really, really good. And then plays like one you saw out of Michael Pittman and what Zach Moss has given you to this point. Your guys that you are counting a lot on are coming through when they need to. And then, you can't overlook what Matt Gay did. You go out and target a guy, you give him a big contract, he goes out and does that, and you go, that's why you do that. So 100%. When you talk about the best players doing their stuff, that's what happens.
That's my guy. That's why I signed that guy. If you're Chris Ballard, you're like, you're speaking of clapping. That guy.
It's like that
my
scene
man.
From, what is it, Billy Madison?
Billy Madison. Man, I'm glad I called that guy. Now, this is the perfect segue for you and a great question for you because here the Colts are on a 2-game winning streak, right? They've won 2 straight games on the road. They're 2-1. They've tasted a little bit of success especially going on the road, beating the Ravens, where everybody picked them to lose. And now you come home to Lucas Oil Stadium, Bill, and you've got 4 of your next 5 at home, right? The month of October, very, very Lucas Oil friendly, if you will. Okay, the Rams, we're going to talk about them. This is not the Rams from 2021, right, when they won the Super Bowl, but still a very good NFL team.
Yes.
But now it's you've been in both locker rooms, or both dynamics of locker rooms, right, where you're on a team that's struggling, and then you're on a team that's caught fire a little bit, and now it's like the perspective around town, the fan base has changed. I'm not saying that's happened, because this team has always had belief, but as a player, now that you've tasted success, how do you handle success?
Well, you have to look at it from a realistic viewpoint and basically listen to your coaches. Your coaches are going to tell you, okay, yeah, you did a nice job out there. You did some good things out there, but these are the things we need to continue to work on. And as a player, you have to listen to that. Now, it's easy to listen to people say, oh, you guys are great. You guys won 2 games. You guys got 4 games at home. You're going to do well. You know, hey, I can't wait what the record's going to be at the end of October and things like that. That's great. But if you look back at 2021, Colts lost their first 3 games, went 9-3 the next 12 games. Last 2 games of the year, they win one of those 2 games, they're in the playoffs.
That's what everybody said. That year they have like a 98% chance of making the playoffs, and then thud.
You lose the last 2 games. You lose to Las Vegas at home and Jacksonville on the road. So the guys from 2021, they know that, hey, they can't rest on their laurels, because you know what? Each week is a challenge, and they need to go out there and play hard and play well. So the guys can't think about, you know, hey, it's great that we won these last 2 games. But you know what? What matters now? And that's how you have to look at it going into this game against the L.A. Rams.
I also have to think that the Shane Steichen dynamic has to come into play. I mean, this guy is all football, and he is all about week to week.
He's the perfect guy to say
he told us the other day, you know, I literally think about a win for maybe 2 hours, and then that's it.
He's on to the next
nobody
one.
gives a blank about what you did last week, win or lose.
So I think, you know, the whole, you know, really reading the press clips and all of that, you know, building into that, hey, you know, you're on top of the world. I don't think this team is going to buy. I mean, no, we all say that. We have no idea what's going on inside that locker room and all that. But judging what I know out of what we've seen so far from Shane Steichen, I don't think you're going to see much of that, because this guy is all ball, and it is all week to week. He doesn't care what's going to happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's all about the Rams.
Yeah, you just have to focus on your assignment, because you know, people at your family, your friends are going to tell you how great the team is and how good you look and things of that nature. But you have to just go focus on your assignment and what you need to do. So when they came back here Monday and watched film on, you know, how well they played, I'm sure the coaches told them, hey, these are things we need to improve on. And then coming Wednesday, as yourself, you say, okay, these are things I need to work on to get better. And as we go out and try to execute this game plan for this upcoming week, we have to focus at practice today.
Indeed.
And hopefully they can do that, and I think they will.
Yeah, it's all about compartmentalizing the good and the bad, knowing hey, it's the NFL, man. Not for long. Any given Sunday.
Yes.
Any more cliches?
All those cliches.
Anything else we can pile onto this?
What have you done? Iron.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
I like it.
Stuff.
We're also taking submissions in the comments.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll take some more there.
Dad jokes and cliches. Throw them right there.
When mean what's important now? You know, all those things. You know.
God, we have fun on this. I love it.
They're all pros.
Yeah,
Yes.
every game matters.
Every game.
1 of 17.
They get paid too.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. All right, JuJu Brents is coming up in just a segment, transitioning now into a piece of the podcast called Bringing the Heat, because there's several positional groups or units within this Colts team so far that are bringing the heat and playing above what they showed in 2022. So let's talk about the groups that are balling out so far this year for the Indianapolis Colts. You brought up the offensive line, and they are opening up lanes for Zach Moss.
Yeah.
The Colts have racked up 265 rushing yards combined the last 2 games. That unit has given up 9 sacks. Now, that's a little bit deceptive, because that's tied for 21st in the NFL, and you look at that number on its surface, and you say, okay, this group it's better than last year, but not by much. But if you actually watch the games, right, you see The first couple of games, Anthony Richardson stepped out of bounds on a couple of scrambles at the line of scrimmage. Those technically go down as sacks. That's not on the offensive line. Same thing last week. There were some free blitzers.
Right.
Kyle Hamilton.
Not
blitzer.
free blitzers, a free blitzer. Yeah.
So there's no doubt you're going to have to change some of that and pick some of that up, but that's not on the offensive line being able to protect and win those one-on-one matchups. So it's a little bit skewed, but Baltimore blitzed a staggering 53% of the time on Gardner Minshew, as we said, highlighted by Kyle Hamilton's 3 sacks there in the first half. But, Bill, for the most part, this offensive line is balling out. They're bringing the heat. The protection has been stellar so far this season.
They've been doing a good job of giving the quarterback, whoever's back there, Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, some time. And yes, Gardner got sacked a couple of times, and Anthony's gotten some pressure a little bit here and there. But for the most part, those guys have done a nice job of giving those guys protection and giving them time. But also, you just think about the running game. Just running the ball. What Zach Moss has done the last 2 games, over 80 yards the first against Houston, and then over 120 yards with against Baltimore. So they've done a nice job, and that's what you wanted to see, and that's what we kind of expected going into the year with, the changes they had on the offense coaches, with Sperano coming in here, the things that he's done. So you wanted to see that going into this season. You knew how important it was to have a good running game and also for the offensive line to give Anthony Richardson some time. And the guys have stepped up thus far.
And if you look at what happened last year, if you boil all the 4-12 in one season down to just one thing, it was probably the offensive line last year.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that get corrected in a short sample size.
And one of the things I think you're seeing, it goes back to your best players have to play. I think we've seen, I know Quentin is fighting through a toe that it sounds like it's going to be just a week-to-week where they're going to manage him during the week and he's going to get out there and play like typical Quentin. But I feel like he looks kind of like he did a couple years ago when he was at that all-pro level, when you're looking at him as one of the best – not just guards, just best linemen in the NFL. And when he is rolling, it helps Bernard Ryman. It helps, like we saw Wesley French step in and do a really good job in his first career start last week against the Baltimore Ravens defense. Like, let's not at all downplay what the Ravens defense has been and always. I mean, they're a defense that year in, year out, you have to really figure out how to prepare for them. And I thought when you look at the amount of pressure and everything, as a whole, I think the offensive line did an absolutely tremendous job against a really good Ravens defense. And it all starts with those guys that you count on, your Braden Smiths, your Quentin Nelsons, to just show everybody else on that line so they're all working as a group. And I feel like you're really seeing that to this point.
All right, another group that's bringing the heat, literally, the defensive pass rush.
Man.
All right, through 3 games, incredible here. The Colts, number 1 in the NFL in tackles for loss, number 1 in forced fumbles, number 2 in sacks. The Colts have 12 sacks already on the season. I know it's only 3 games, but if you extrapolate it out, the Colts are on pace for 68 sacks this season, which would blow the franchise record out of the water. And the best part is they're impactful sacks, right? They're coming in important moments. That was kind of the knock on the pass rush last year. They had a steady pass rush in terms of just overall numbers a year ago, but were they coming at impactful times? This year, 3rd down, they're leading to strips. Samson Ebekam's getting strips. Kwity Paye's getting strips and fumble recoveries, right? The Colts have a strip, sack, fumble recovery, Bill, in 3 straight games. The Colts have 7 different players that have notched at least 1 sack on the season. They have 4 players that have at least 2 sacks. Buckner, Paye, Ebekam, and Taven Bryan, and he's doing a really good job of spelling DeForest Buckner to keep him fresh at this stage in his career. This pass rush, man, it looks like it's ahead of schedule.
It looks like it's ahead of schedule, and they are just, as you said, they are bringing the heat. They are putting pressure on quarterbacks, putting pressure on the offenses of the opposing team as far as even when they're running the ball, not doing a good job running the ball, kind of making them one-dimensional and getting them after those guys. So to give that front 7 a lot of credit. And going into the season, we said that, hey, the pass rush was going to have to be there for the Colts.
That was a lingering question.
Yes, didn't know what was going to happen. Didn't know how Kwity Paye was going to be. Didn't know how Ebekam was going to be. Just didn't know what was going to happen out there. Those guys have stepped up thus far and played well, especially since having a young secondary. I mean, the guys at the corner position don't have a lot of experience back there, so wanted to make sure you get pressure to help those guys out in the back.
And one of the things I want to really draw to is the depth. I mean, you talked about Taven Bryan coming in to spell. Eric Johnson's been a guy. It's been a Dio Adangbo. It has been a collective group, and that's why I think you're seeing these numbers, because it's almost like it's interchangeable. Whoever's out there, there's somebody out there that's going to be able to make the play. And I don't know if necessarily that's been the case over the last handful of years. You knew about Quiddy, Grover, and Buck, but outside of that, it was like, who's going to step up? And right now, I mean, you've realistically got 7 or 8 guys that on any play are really doing – they're causing a lot of problems for opposing offensive lines, and that is so key. And you talk about the big plays, and I think that's why you're really seeing all that. These on the key downs, you're getting a fresh DeForest Buckner. You're getting a fresh Quiddy Pay, and it's really paying off.
Timely plays.
Yes.
Timely plays.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that we talked about in the offseason, obviously, around March, the free agency class. My gosh, the free agency class so far, they're bringing the heat. All right, you look at it. Gardner Minshew comes in off the bench, comes in out of the bullpen, shutting people down for 7 innings, coming in the second quarter, throws for 83%, 3 straight scoring drives against the Houston Texans in week 2. Last week, he's thrown, in 2 games combined, weeks 2 and 3, 398 passing yards, 2 games with no turnovers. I think that's huge for a backup quarterback.
Huge.
Don't put your team in a bad situation. Gardner Minshew definitely not doing that. Ebicom has 2 sacks on the season. We talked about Taven Bryan. He's playing roughly 30% of the snaps so far this year. And then Matt Gay, he's our guy, right? Setting an NFL record, 4 field goals over 50 yards in a single game, including the game winner in overtime in Baltimore. The only player in NFL history to do that. I mean, those guys, Bill, the Colts targeted early on in free agency, man, money made Matt Gay and everybody else, Gardner Minshew, coming in like he's just owning the place. It's pretty cool to see the guys that the Colts brought in off the street and prioritized. They're coming up clutch.
Yeah, they come up clutch, and, they brought in these guys for specific reasons.
Yeah.
Gardner, Gardner, we want you to be the backup quarterback. We want you to help with the growth of Anthony Richardson.
The maturation.
Yes, the maturation of Anthony Richardson. You understand this offense. You know the offense. You can help him out to become the quarterback that we think he can become in the National Football League. You get Ebicom here. Hey, look, we know we need you to put some pressure on the quarterback, but also play the run as well, as far as a person outside on the edge there. And Matt Gay, we know we need you to be clutch. When the time to kick a field goal, make the field goals. And he did that. You saw that this Sunday. So the guys that came in, the free agents, hit home runs. Those are home run hitters right there. And thus far, they've lived up to expectations.
It's one of those things that I feel like year in and year out, we look at some of these free agency signings and we try to pin them on where they're going to fit. And a lot of these guys, they aren't your marquee player. It's not the one that everybody, when he gets either released or he's up for, they have 15 teams that should need him and he's going to plug in and be the. It's you made a really good point when you said they have a role and they come in and they fit exactly what they want them to do. And I think you are seeing that pay off at a very, very, really good clip this year. I mean, you talk about what Samson Ebicom has done for that line. We mentioned Taven Bryan, Matt Gay. It has been a very impressive free agency group, and we're just 3 weeks in. So hopefully that can sustain throughout the year. But it really has – it has paid dividends already just to this point.
You know what I love most about Gardner Minshew, kind of lumping him into this conversation? He's just he blows me away with his professionalism and his comfort in his own skin. We know that about him in terms of his personality.
Yeah.
Okay, there's only one Gardner Minshew in terms of just the dude, the guy.
Yeah.
Like Gardner he's one of a kind. But he just blows me away with like, okay, today I'm the starting quarterback. Whatever you need.
Sure, whatever.
Today I'm going to prepare like I'm the starting quarterback, even though I'm number 2. If you need me to come in off the bench and throw for 222 yards and 83% completion percentage, no problem. I can do that. And watching him in the fourth quarter in overtime, I just had flashbacks. Like you have those deja vu type moments, and it's crazy because I'm calling the game and there's so many thoughts and things going through your head, and you watch Gardner Minshew on a 3rd and 4 just so calmly take what the defense is giving him and throw an easy completion to the right flat or to the far flat to Josh Downs for a first down. I just had flashbacks of Gardner Minshew week 17 or 18. I think it was week 17, 2019, the regular season finale that last year in Jacksonville, where Gardner Minshew, you feel like he's having a good game, and then at the end of the game, you look at the box score and you think to yourself, man, this dude had a hell of a game.
Yes.
And he didn't turn the football over.
Yep.
His completion percentage is well over 70, and he just doesn't outsmart the game, Bill. Like, he doesn't outsmart football. Football is – I'm not downplaying the degree of difficulty it is to play football in the National Football League, but at the end of the day, like, it's not that hard of a game. Like, it's take what the defense gives you. Gardner Minshew is incredibly intelligent, but he just blows me away with just how – simple he makes the game look and feel sometimes.
Because he does what he knows he can do, and he does, as you said, he takes what the defense gives him. He's not going to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to make a great play. I want to try to make a great play so, we get the roar of the crowd and things like that, or we quiet the crowd down on the road, stuff like that. No, I'm going to take this 5-yard pass. We're going to get 7 yards out of it.
And I'm going to stay in third and short.
Going to stay in third and short, and we'll have another play. I'm going to do this again and again, and we'll have like a 12-play drive.
Right.
We'll get down there, we'll score a touchdown, or we'll get a field goal. Okay, that's fine. That's what we did. We scored points.
Yeah.
We made a very effective drive. Give our defense a break. Get the defense go out there and get a play. So it played good complementary football, but he just does his job, and he looks like, oh, okay, yeah, I got sacked last time. No big deal, but I'm going to go the same play, and we're going to be successful this time.
And I don't want to downplay that either, because all of those things that I said and you said are true and accurate, but inevitably in any NFL game, no matter the quarterback, that quarterback, no matter your philosophy or your skill set or anything like that, you are inevitably going to be asked to win the football game by making 3 or 4 throws.
Yep.
You've got to push the ball down the field. You're going to have to cram the football into a tight window. You're going to have to make an elite, accurate throw, push the ball outside the numbers, and Gardner Minshew did that. He did all of those things to keep the Colts in the game, and he did what he is comfortable doing, but he also pushed the envelope. That completion to Michael Pittman Jr. in overtime, that didn't lead to points on that drive, but guess what it did do? It kept the ball in the middle of the field in terms of field position, and that's a throw that any winning quarterback has to make, and that was a low percentage completion throw, if you will.
Yes.
Credit Michael Pittman Jr., but also give credit for Gardner Minshew for the stones to make that throw in that situation and put it for his wide receiver to go up and get it.
It took a lot, for him, I'm sure, to get that ball out there, to throw the ball out there. It was a little risky throw, but he made it, and he had to make it. He said, hey, look, we have to make a play right now. We're backed up in our own end. We have to get the ball out. You know what? Pitt, go get it. Go get it, Pitt. Pitt got it, and it was a nice catch, and got the team out of that back of their own end zone. And so they
from that point on, it was a battle of who could get the ball to the plus 40.
Get a little bit further. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You ever made a catch like that, Bill? Your helmet gets ripped off, and you got 2 guys draped all over you, and somehow you come down with it? Because I'm still not sure how he caught it. Because there's a couple pictures I've seen of, like, there's one where the defender's hand is literally inside his helmet, covering his whole face, and the ball is not in his hands. I'm not sure how he came down with it, but it's impressive. Like, that play and that catch, unbelievable.
Yes, it was a nice catch by Pitt. I mean, Pitt, for him to go up there like that and catch it, and then for me, when he came down with it and to hold on to it, knowing guys are around him, because guys are going to try to strip it as he comes down, and to have his helmet wherever it was, his face mask is probably up in his eyes, and he barely can see. But to hold on to the ball with all that going on and go down to the ground, big catch by Pitt.
It was awesome.
It's pretty unbelievable. We were all going nuts, and good for Michael Pittman Jr. too, right? Because that's a one of the defining moments for him in year number 4 for the Indianapolis Colts.
Exactly.
So everybody making plays. Speaking of making plays, JuJu Brents, the rookie out of Warren Central High School, Kansas State, drafted in the 2nd round by the Indianapolis Colts. Man, he made plays on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, making his NFL debut, his first start for the Indianapolis Colts. Earlier today, he sat down with myself and Bill Brooks to talk about Week 3 and then playing at home on Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. We are joined in studio now by the rookie sensation, the pride of Indianapolis and Warren Central High School. A forced fumble and a fumble recovery in day number 1 on the job, making his NFL debut on Sunday in Baltimore. Mr. JuJu Brents wearing number 29. JuJu.
Did he have a PBU in there too?
My bad. We can start over if you want to.
Nah,
we can do that all over again.
Forget it, huh?
Throw that pass breakup in there as well. That was on Mark Andrews, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, come on now. You know.
Something like that.
You know
Get
who
outta
it was.
Jeez Louise. My man, thank you so much for the time. It is great to have you in person on this podcast for the first time. Take us through, your lead up to Sunday. Take us through Saturday night, knowing that you were going to get your NFL debut. You were likely going to be in the starting lineup. You acknowledged that on Saturday night. Just tell us what you made of your first NFL experience on a game field in the regular season.
Yeah, man, it was pretty dope. A lot of different emotions. Just itching to get out there. Obviously, first 2 weeks I was out, and then just this week kind of got the nod that I may be up. So, but still just having like the same mentality I had the first 2 weeks. Even though I wasn't playing, I was still preparing like I was gonna be a starter whenever that time was gonna come. Just knowing it's temporary. And man, just once I got out there, I just knew I was gonna be prepared and just let it all loose, just run through the smoke.
How do you feel you played? How do you feel you performed out there?
It was a solid performance. There's always room for improvement, but I felt like just getting my feet wet and everything like that, just getting adjusted. It was solid. It was solid for sure. So.
You missed some time in the spring. You had that lingering injury from college at Kansas State. You had that wrist injury. Then you dealt with a hamstring during training camp and the preseason. That kind of trickled into the start of the regular season for you, those first 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
How frustrating was it to deal with that? Because here you are, you get drafted by your hometown team, you're in the NFL, but then you have to deal with that knick-knack stuff before you can really get going.
Right, yeah, it's tough, but it's kind of inevitable when you're playing football. It's not about if you get hurt, it's when. But just trying to make sure I'm doing everything on my part to make sure that I am, just taking care of my body, but being real intentional. At the league is different. You got to every single day, not a day off. So just being real intentional with the intake. Eating right.
Yeah.
Can't be eating McDonald's every day. Chick-fil-A, you got to limit that maybe 1 or 2 days throughout the week.
Oof.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's why you guys are special.
Nah, yeah. So just making sure you're taking care of your body like in all aspects. So
right.
It was tough not being able to be out there, but just still, like I said, mentally, like making sure I'm in the playbook. I'm meeting with my vets, Kenny Moore. Like, what are you seeing here when you out there? So when I get out there, man, it's easy.
Yeah. Now you talk about playing, and you're a tall, athletic DB out there playing, and guys that I hated going against because you had that long reach and you're tall.
Yeah.
What is one of your strengths as far as when you go out there and playing, you're going against a wide receiver? What's one of the things that you can count on that you can do out there and perform?
Physical, just my grit. Just being aggressive. Obviously, God blessed me with some things that can't really teach or coach, just my length. Got some speed, real elusive, but I like to use all those tangibles, just being versatile. A lot of guys expect me to get up there right in their face and just lunge right at them, press them right away. Like I can switch it up like a motor. Just be real swabby, I want to say, kind of a good word to use. Swifty, just switch it up on guys. But you go feel me for sure. You go feel my presence. Like I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna get in your face. And I'm gonna talk a little noise too.
Man, you are a big guy. I'm putting you on the spot here, Colin. I apologize. Can we pan out? Can you stand up for just a second? Can we get this, Colin? Can we? All right. I know this is not great for the radio audience here, but look at this man. All right, give me the wingspan.
That's what I'm talking about.
Something crazy. I don't know how to come out there. I want to say I had the longest in history.
Yeah. The longest. Yeah, the longest. I mean, that's normally a wide receiver body, a wide receiver wingspan. Yeah. How does that help you? Like, in what ways does that benefit you the most playing corner with your raw measurables, if you will?
Right. Yeah, just on the offensive side of the ball, with a quarterback and receiver, it's all about the timing. So even if I'm not getting my hands on the ball at the point of break, but throughout the first, like at the climb of the route, I'm disrupting the receiver, throwing his timing off. Just different things like that. That's what helps me, just win on that down. So even if you may not get your hand on the ball, you can still win that rep.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's JuJu Brents with us here, coming off his first start in the NFL, a great game against the Baltimore Ravens. You might have had, I think, one of the hidden heroic plays of that game. I mean, I know that game comes down to the fourth quarter. It comes down to overtime. But in the second quarter, you cannot overlook and underestimate the play that you had. Kenyon Drake with a great, catch over the middle, yards after the catch. You come in from behind or the side. You punch at the ball, that karate chop. You jar the football loose. You recover it Great heady play there to get on the ball before it got over to the sideline. You know, the Ravens were rolling, right? They're up 7-0. They're in a position to maybe go up 2 scores, and then the dynamic of that game is completely different if you don't make that play. What did you see on that play? Why do you think you were in such a good position to make that game-changing play at that moment in the second quarter?
Yeah, it's what our coach talk about every day, and that's just effort. Just effort and just straining to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say, like, good things happen when you run to the ball. So just putting that in your mind frame when you have practices every day, running to the ball, punching at the ball. So that was kind of just second nature, something we work on every single day. Before we go to individual, we breaking at the ball, punching at it and stuff. And then on that play specifically, kind of just, I don't know, it kind of slowed down because it seemed like I've been there before, just breaking at the ball.
You saw the ball, right? Yeah. And just there. You're like, all right.
Yeah, now it's just
boom.
Time to be a playmaker.
All right.
Play.
Now, you talk about making plays and things like that, and you made some plays out there Sunday. Saw you talking a little bit out there as well. You don't have to tell us what you said to the opponent or anything like that.
I probably couldn't tell you.
I don't want you to say that on the air. But when you talk, are you talking more so to get in the opponent's head or to more so just build you up, psych you up for the rest of the game?
Me personally, I already know like where my level's gonna be at.
Okay.
They're not gonna be able to match it because I'm gonna already be turned inside.
All right.
Now, when I'm talking to them, it's just a mental warfare. I just want to see the type of person I'm dealing with.
Okay.
If he coming at me, he may just be laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, I already got him. I ain't too worried. If he talking a little noise back, it's gonna be a dog fight. So it's pretty much just kind of just feeling the dude out a little bit. And if he barking back, trust me, I'm gonna keep barking.
You enjoy that though, right? You enjoy barking, don't you?
I love it.
It's that psychological warfare, man. And it's just the game within the game. That's the kind of stuff I absolutely love. All right, so your first game in the NFL, you make a great play. You're very impactful, right? You contribute big time in the box score. I'm just curious. You're from here. How many calls, how many texts, how many emails, or direct messages on social media did you get after that game?
Shoot, I don't know if I can probably right now still be counting. I don't know. Yeah, but it's all love though for sure. Just being from my hometown and a lot of people who've seen me just grow up and get to this point. Just it's a lot of excitement and just proud of me. So I do love all those people out there for sure. If I haven't got to you, I definitely will. But we're going to make some more plays, so for sure.
What do you expect to play at home this upcoming week? It's going to be a home
your first home game.
First home game.
Yeah, I know.
What are you expecting out of the first home game?
This is going to be a little different than preseason. We had the preseason at home, but regular season, man, juice is going to be flowing. But for me, just trying to be even killed. Emotions going to be high. It's going to be a little bit of excitement, but just, it's a task at hand. So being focused, I'm going to enjoy the moment a little bit before pregame and everything. But then once it's go time, that whistle blows. Time to get to it.
The other question I have for you is, how many tickets have you got? Ticket requests have you got?
It's a little bit different when you grew up about 20 minutes from the stadium, right?
Like I had to warn my mom and family now, like, look, we got to keep it to a minimum. Right. It's going to be a game for sure.
Inner circle, right?
I'm going to take care of everybody. But, yeah, the ticket request
Good for you.
OD.
There's no doubt about that. JuJu Brents is with us. And you talk about playing at Warren Central, Kansas State, now here with the Indianapolis Colts. You were with the Colts. You were a part of the local pro day back in March or April, right before the draft. Did you have I know you've probably been asked this question, but did you have any idea then that you might be coming here in the draft?
Oh, my God. The draft process is so crazy. You never know. You never know. It's not a whole lot of people, not too many people who know about it, but, like, right before the second round started, I got a call from my agent was like, I don't know if you want to play for your hometown or whatnot or how it's going to play out, but when the coach are on the call, make sure you have your phone by.
There you go.
So I had it in my head then, but throughout the process, you just don't know.
Really?
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, though. When I seen the coach came up, I was like, 317, I'm like, wow.
I mean, I read where your favorite player growing up was Bob Sanders. I mean, how big of a Colts fan were you growing up here?
No, I was like, I went to a couple of games growing up.
Yeah.
Had Bob Sanders jersey, 21. I was a fan of Peyton. Like during that time, the era of the Colts, man, it was just wasn't up to like about it.
And that's what you did on Sundays.
Yeah.
The whole city shut down for 3-4 hours.
Literally, man. So yeah, my whole life just growing up a Colts fan, it was just crazy when now I get to share the same horseshoe. It's like a dream come true for a little kid.
That's neat. And you like you say, you're realizing a dream now. And when you realize a dream, you have expectations coming. You think it's going to be a certain way or being in the NFL. Has it met your expectations being in the NFL, and especially playing for your hometown, or just going out there, what you do on the football field, practicing, the classroom time? Has it met your expectations of what you expected for out of the NFL?
For sure, 100%. I mean, like if you a competitor and you just a baller and you a guy who loves football, absolutely. That's definitely the type of person I am. I just love to play ball. Love to play ball, be out there, go out there and compete with my guys, compete against others, and win some games.
All right, the Colts have only drafted 4 players that were born in Indianapolis in team history. Jeff George, another Warren Central Warrior, Anthony Johnson, Lamont Warren, and now Mr. JuJu Brents. You are the first draft pick from Indianapolis for the Colts since 1994. This is crazy. I didn't realize this. I mean, I used to cover high school football. I used to do games every Friday night. You are the 11th player from Warren Central to play in the NFL and the 6th to play for the Colts. Sheldon Day, Krishan Hogan, Deshaun Bond, Darren Evans, and Jeff George. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot of those guys, don't you?
Darren Evans, 62 touchdowns in high school?
Yeah.
1 year. Gatorade Player of the Year, Jeff George, #1 pick. I can go on and on. Yeah, we got some dogs out of Dubs.
I mean, Warren Central, I mean, I know that's a tight community there on the east side. What makes that program so special?
Man, it's just the love within the community. You know, sometimes that side of town gets kind of a bad rep, but like that Friday night.
I've seen it.
That's what brings the whole community
No
together.
doubt.
And I just remember growing up and seeing those guys like Darren Evans and Sean with Chris Hogan, like 1 year, and then going to Marion and making it happen at the NAIA, like just stories go on and on. It's a lot of great guys out of that side of the community, man, but definitely the football atmosphere is what brings it all together.
All right, closing out here. I'm a Hoosier. As we said, Bill's an adopted Hoosier. You grew up in Indianapolis. Yeah. Let's talk about your favorite place to eat in Indianapolis. Like if you have a cheat day in town, where are you going? Like where's your stop in Indy?
I don't know. Let's see. Shout out to his eatery on the east side. That's one of my favorites. Soul food. You love some good soul food. That's one for sure.
Indeed.
Now, where I'm at like when I'm downtown or something like that, Salt on Mass.
Okay.
Yeah. Fire.
Okay. You've been there.
You've been there.
I've been there.
I like Salt.
Okay.
And one more.
Now these are things you give to your other rookies here, since you're the local
like,
concierge here for the
like
rookies.
my boy JD, like Josh Downs, throughout like OTAs and all that, we would just pick a different spots throughout the year.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Trying different places and stuff like that. Another one I would probably say is like here in Izzy's.
Classic. Yeah. Oh yeah, you cannot go wrong with that.
Very good.
All right, now you've been alive on this earth in Indianapolis for a little bit over 20 years. How many Indy 500s have you been to?
Just one.
Just one?
I know.
Well, everybody needs to do one. That's all right.
That was probably one of the best experiences I had, for sure.
Don't feel bad. I have not experienced.
We got to change that.
I've gone to Carb Day. I've gone to time trials.
We can just end this podcast right now. We're done.
I have not been
Signing
to
off.
one. I've been to a lot of other stuff with Indy, but I have not been to one actually race day.
It was pretty dope. We had about 3 or so yellow flags this year.
We did, yeah. It was a quick race.
Don't expect that every year.
Very quick race up until the end, right? No doubt about that. Well, JuJu, you're such a great representative, I should say, for this team, for the rookie class. We love the fact that you're from Indianapolis, holding it down. Congratulations on game number 1, and here's to you the rest of the season. Thanks so much for your time.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate you.
That's JuJu Brents, the rookie sensation from Indianapolis. He's a Hoosier. I'm a Hoosier. Casey's a Hoosier. Bill is an adopted Hoosier.
Yes.
Coming from the East Coast, but he's Indiana through and through right now. And we're back here on the Official Colts podcast. The crew is returning to close it out here. So, again, our thanks to JuJu Brents just a few minutes ago. But getting ready for game number 4, the Rams come calling. Second time in 3 years, L.A. is coming to Lucas Oil Stadium to play the Colts. We know about their wacky travel, playing on Monday night in Cincinnati on a short week, going back to L.A., then back to the Midwest here to play the Colts. What is that? What was the math on that?
5,200 miles, I think, from
5,200 travel air miles.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah,
man.
Cash those in on Delta, though. You can stay in a nice hotel in the offseason if you're Sean McVay, I can tell you that. And I got that to look forward to. Like a little come back in for the combine. He's sitting first class, right? But, all right, so the Rams come in. They're coming in from Hollywood, right? The land of the movie stars. They're looking for a blockbuster against the Colts. The Colts are hoping for a box office flop. How about that for an analogy? Okay,
nice.
that was a long way to get there, but we got there. Okay, that was a little clunky, but we eventually got there. How about that? Speaking of that, what is the worst movie you've seen lately?
Oh,
give me a clunker.
I haven't watched a lot of movies lately, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the worst movie I've probably seen in a few years. I'm gonna go with Wild Wild West.
Oh, with Will Smith.
With Will
Oh, I
Smith
got to
and
concur
Kevin
with that.
Kline, yeah.
Yeah, that's a piece of what?
Yeah, this wasn't me. And
That's a smoking piece of what?
Yeah, I didn't care for that movie because I guess maybe I like the series over older series with Conrad
It's
in
the
there.
Wild, Wild
yeah.
West.
So that's one I like with
Wild,
Conrad
Wild West.
and I think it was Ross Martin, the other
Oh man,
co-star with him.
You don't
So-
need to go in detail. We
Yeah,
all know it
no,
was bad.
no. But I
it
think,
was
no,
terrible.
I think look kind of compare it to that. That's why I think that.
Well, hopefully the Rams' performance on Sunday is equivalent to Wild Wild West at
Will
the box
Smith,
office.
yes.
Worst movie you've seen in a long time.
Mine is probably Babylon. It just recently came out with Brad Pitt and
Babylon.
Margot Robbie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ooh.
It's like 3.5 hours long, which already it's a big strike in my eyes. Like that's way too long for a movie. It took me 2 nights to watch it. That's already bad. But I don't know what the point of the movie was. I don't know what we learned in the movie. It like takes place in like 1930s, and it's watching
Babylon.
3 actors, making movies. And those movies aren't any good. The movie itself wasn't any good, and it had great actors in it, and it just was bad. So Babylon. I'm sorry if anybody out there liked it.
So if you get a Netflix update or a recommendation,
I want to say I watched it on Amazon Prime. It was one of those that
okay.
it was in theater very quickly, and it went
not
to
long.
Prime. Which, with that big of a cast and how much money I
No go.
saw that they paid for it, it went to Prime pretty quickly, and that's always definitely a flop at the box office.
what was that
So-
movie with Kevin James and he was supposed to be Sean Payton?
Oh yeah,
That
was on Netflix.
That was a heaping pile.
That was.
Oh my
That
goodness.
was no good. I couldn't.
I watched
tell
the
if it was,
first
like,
10
trying to be
minutes
a
of it.
comedy.
And that was it.
It was
Oh,
like,
I turned it off.
it was
like Draft Day. Draft Day is unwatchable.
Really?
Draft
Really?
Day is unwatchable.
I like Draft Day.
Well, if you work in this industry,
Yeah.
this field, Draft Day is so far from reality.
No, it's not at all reality. But
Well,
I like Draft
I know
Day.
it's-
I was with you, Case.
Draft
I like
Day,
Draft
for
no.
Kevin Costner, I think. So that maybe that's
I
why.
like, it was to me. It was
But
funny.
you're right about the Sean Payton thing because I couldn't tell if it was trying to be funny.
That was awful.
Or real, and it missed the
I
mark
haven't
for
seen
me.
it, but I imagine 80 for Brady is not winning any Academy
Yeah, I
Awards.
I doubt
80 for Brady is not winning the Oscar for Best Picture. If we're going to stay on the football theme,
Yeah.
okay?
That's one of those things you see it.
What'd you do last night? Oh, I watched 80 for Brady.
No. You see the previews of that, and you're like,
was-
no, thank you.
Movie was badass. All right. Let's get back on topic here. Okay, what do the Colts, Bill, as we close out, what do the Colts need to do to make sure the Rams have a big old flopper in the box office on Sunday?
I'm going to go pretty specific. I think they need to, of course, I think everyone knows this, control Aaron Darnold. I think the line of scrimmage is going to be very important for the Colts offensively as far as controlling Aaron Donald because a lot of their players that from the year they won the Super Bowl aren't there defensively. So they have a kind of a new cast. Jalen Ramsey's not back there in the secondary. So I think if they go out there and try to control that line of scrimmage for the most part on offense, I think that will help them be successful on offense and move the ball downfield and score some points. I want to see them score some points.
Bill's bullet point right there, Case.
So for me, it's defensively and doing essentially what you have through 3 weeks. If you look at what the Colts, if you're going to hang your hat on what they've done well to this point, it's getting after the passer and limit the run game. I think that is going to be key because Cooper Kupp is not on this team right now for the Rams. He's dealing with hamstring injury on IR. So they don't have that dynamic that you would think about receiver. But they've got Puka Nacua.
There you go.
Okay.
And Tutu Atwell, who I just think if you can make them one-dimensional, I think it will limit what their offense will look like. Now, Matthew Stafford, he's probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's one of those where I don't know how you look at what he did in Detroit, but if you look at his numbers, I mean, he's up there among the NFL elite, so he's a guy that can put the ball wherever he wants to, and he can make guys like Puka Nacua lead the NFL in receptions and yards and all of that. But I think if you can limit them, make them one-dimensional, and really continue to bring the pressure on Stafford, I think it'll make this team
Yeah.
kind of fold. And I'm not at all throwing shade at any of their offensive skill players, but when Cooper Kupp's on this team, they're a completely different offense. I think right now you are seeing some other players shine because they have to, because they don't have those other weapons. So I think if you can keep them one-dimensional, keep Kyron Williams inside and, at that number where all these running backs who the Colts have taken on, it's been very few and far between anybody getting over 50 yards rushing.
Yes.
Keep him in that, and I think this defense is going to see a lot of benefits from that.
I want to dovetail on that. I think you got to give it to Puka Nacua. I think this
yeah.
guy, he's a rookie. He's a 5th-round pick at a BYU. The guy's balling out. And I think going along with that schematically, what you have to do is somehow, and even if they're going to stack him or if they put him in bunches, you got to make sure somehow to be creative to not get him a free release. Not get him a free release off the line of scrimmage. As a former wide receiver, I'm sure you can.
I hate that.
Really, if you can't get into the release, you can't get open.
Exactly. That's the key for a receiver, getting off the ball immediately as fast as you can.
Right. He's got the 2nd most receptions and the 4th most receiving yards in the NFL so far this season, and he has the 2nd most receiving yards in a player's first 3 years or first 3 games of his career since the merger in 1970. So get after him. Make sure he's not, tearing you up in the first level or the second level, those intermediate throws in the secondary. Secondly, get after him, because this could be, I don't know what the right word is, a break or a coincidence, but the Colts could have the 4th straight game where they see a backup left tackle.
Yeah.
Their left tackle's
Wow.
banged up
Good
right
point.
now.
Yeah.
That led to 6 sacks on Monday night in Cincinnati. They were 1 for 4 in the red zone. Matthew Stafford's touchdown to interception ratio is all out of whack. I think it's 2-4 right now. So, is he still the same player? I think at age 35, I think that he is.
Yeah.
But he's got a bunch of young guns around him,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's Matthew Stafford and the Pips right now,
Yeah.
because
Supporting cast.
they've got 15 rookies. I think I read they have the youngest roster
They do,
in the
yeah.
NFL. So, make life on that offensive line hard. That goes back to bringing the heat from the pass rush that we talked about in that first segment. So, really looking forward to this game. The Colts are back at home for the first time in 2 weeks. Lucas Oil Stadium should be rocking out. We'll see what the weather and the roof situation is on the first day of October. Fall is here. The leaves are falling.
Yeah.
Casey Valier's doing yard work after prepping for these games.
Right.
Bill, I know you're doing the same thing. God knows my yard is
All your trees,
already
man,
getting
how does that
pounded.
look?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. Ask me in mid-November when I'm up on the roof with an air blower and about ready to break my neck. We'll see what happens.
Getting all leaves out of the gutters, huh?
Touchdown town on Sunday, though. You hyped up?
Touchdown town on Sunday. Looking forward to it. People come out, be excited, and it'll be fun.
Yep. Bill's on the pregame show with JMV and Jeffrey Gorman and Joe Wright in Touchdown Town. That's going to air from 10 to noon on our flagship station in Indianapolis, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Casey Valier's back in the booth with us.
That's right.
Back in the building. He is no longer in seclusion in the prison that is the
Yes.
Colts radio
I
studio.
go from 0 people to 60-some-odd thousand.
That's
people.
right.
What a great
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Full ends of the spectrum right there. So, again, thank you for joining us here on the official Colts podcast, brought to you by Wynn Las Vegas, and we will do it again next week. 2 podcasts, a Tuesday edition. We're the Thursday crew, and that week we're going to be breaking down the Tennessee Titans as the Colts get back into AFC South play a week from Sunday, but looking for a big win this Sunday. Colts and Rams, 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium, and we will talk to you next week here on YouTube and the Colts Audio Network. So long.